Welcome to Akhanda Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom, the walking, talking encyclopedia. Lungs, the science of respiration. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My greatest discovery, Divyank, the divine design of nature with which perfect objects are designed and created. Divyank is the reward of 60 years of integrated education. Impeccable wisdom is enlightening, and integrated knowledge is empowering. Let's start with the misconception which I have already spoken in Pranayama. Respiration means the art of breathing. Without the right breathing, we will be dead and gaunt. Without oxygen, Agni, there is no life whatsoever. Whole thing centers around oxygen, oxygen, and oxygen, and oxygen has to be received from the external atmosphere through the help of respiratory system. That is the prime objective of respiration. Now a question comes, an honest question. Do schools, colleges, universities, quote in quote, teach this particular concept? The answer, exchange of gases, is the answer which is given by all the schools. Prime objective of respiration system is exchange of gases. The question comes, do we exchange all the gases? My answer is no. The right answer, according to Akhanda Vidyashram, we absorb vital oxygen from the atmosphere to be used for oxygenation of the body cells. There are 100 trillion cells in the body. They all need oxygen for proper functioning. We exchange 61.803% of the carbon dioxide from 100 trillion cells during expiration. The remaining 38.1966% of carbon dioxide is used for synthesis of hydrochloric acid in the body, stomach, intestines. But at the same time, let me also remind you, it is also produced for manufacturing alkaline medium also. Quote in quote, an active inspiration is 38.1966% of the time, and passive expiration is 61.8034% of the time. This is the precise, concise, to the point, impeccable wisdom which I want everyone to understand, so that you don't have to remember something which could be questioned. With this objective, let's move on to the next concept of breathing. The divine design of breathing, as I have told you. So let's read what is written on the left side, the anatomy. Upper respiratory tract is made of nose, nostril, lips, mouth, pharynx, larynx. As a result, there are 6 divisions in upper respiratory tract. Lower respiratory tract is trachea, primary bronchi, many bronchioles, alveolar ducts, alveolar sacs, alveoli. There are literally 16 divisions. 6 plus 16 is equal to 22. So that also speaks very clear about 22 by 21 levels of universal consciousness. Our Brahmank are the prime objective of first stage of creation. Second thing which comes to the play, very important role, is there in the lungs, left side has got 2 lobes and right side has got 3 lobes, which also represent the Divyank sequence. That's one part. Now let's talk of the physiology, of the divine physiology of breathing. As I told you, inspiration is active. It lasts for 38.1966%. Expiration is passive and lasts for 61.803. And by giving this, we are creating an idea to think beyond what we speak in that. Exchange of gases does not specify, but it is 61.8034% expulsion of carbon dioxide during expulsion. Makes you think why why active is that. That is what I want every child to understand from the day one, that knowledge is to be gained through analysis. not just by mugging, vomiting, and forgetting. That is definitely not the way Akhand Vidyashram would like any of the student to grasp, understand, and apply in day-to-day life. From that angle, now let's move on to the next stage of inspiration neural response. Again, as I told you, inspiration and expiration is also designed the same way, which is 38.1966% inspiration, 61.8034% that, and same thing is seen in brainstem with respect to respiratory tract. You can see the same thing over there, and this proves how things are automatically, step by step, are designed with Divyank only. This particular thing is very vital. With the oxygen, we cannot live and survive. And by throwing out carbon dioxide, only we can have what is required. Now, invariably, the question comes up: is expiration is based on the need for oxygen, or it is to throw the carbon dioxide out so that we can get more oxygen? That is also a question which would be discussed, has been discussed, will be discussed over a period. What is influence or stimulatory reflex for inspiration by and large? To start with, it is carbonic acid, carbonate, and more than that, I would put it, it is hydrogen elements which is more responsible than this, is more powerful than this. This is also something which I want to put it together at the end. How much is hydrogen in the blood would be defining thing when we are going to expire. And simplest example I can give you: when you expire over and over and over, clear lungs of almost all the carbon dioxide you have, you take much longer time to inspire again, till carbon dioxide is built to the level that it becomes a stimulus for inspiration. And that is also one of the reasons by Pranayama we do Bhastrika and Kapalabhati to reduce the content of carbon dioxide, so that we can reduce the heart rate completely, respiration completely, and all the connected things, so that we can survive for a longer time. That's also one of the ways of showing how pranayama helps you to understand breathing better, and then go on to add more value, because animals which live for a longer time are the ones who inspire the minimum in that. The ones which inspire longest many times, they die faster than the one which lasts, by and large, slow breathing over a period. Now let's move on to the next stage. As I told you in the beginning, we have the nose, we have the nostrils, we have the mouth, we have the lips, we have the tongue, everything, nasopharynx, larynx, everything. Right up to that stage, there is absolutely no doubt about the 6 stages of upper respiratory tract, which plays an important role. But beyond the 6th level is the respiratory system, which I am talking about. This particular thing is, you have 1 trachea, then you have 2 bronchioles, 4, 16, then you have bronchioles which are 16 and 32, then you go on to respiratory bronchioles which are 64, 128, 256, and finally when you come to the bronchial stage, you literally have 502 plus plus plus, which go on to show that it's very systematically designed, and the size of trachea to the size of alveoli reduces so much, it follows Divyank ratio strictly throughout without any problem. From that angle, this particular picture makes a lot of sense, how beautifully the design is being made, and number of tubes and the branch and the size and shape has been given very clearly. Right at the bottom, you can see the inspiration, oxygen coming inside and carbon dioxide going down. You can see the blue on the bottom part, which is deoxygenated blood, which is returning from the body, how that goes into alveoli and expelled out, and oxygen which comes in is able to convert the blue cyanotic hemoglobin into pure red thing as it comes out of lungs. So inspiration to expiration, deoxygenated to oxygenated is something which has been beautifully explained in this particular picture, and that is reason why I've been saying very clearly prime objective of respiration is absorption of oxygen from the body for optimum use of the cells, without which we cannot live. And carbohydrates plus oxygen put together produce carbon dioxide, and that is to be expelled out and take more oxygen. In the process, we could have a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, happy life, and that's it. So having understood that, let's move on to the next stage. Now, another point which I want to bring very clearly in this particular picture is partial pressure of oxygen at sea level is 160 mm of mercury on ground level is unquestionable. It has been seen, proven by everybody. And that is the oxygen which we are taking in, as you can see right on top. That's oxygen which is coming in into the alveoli. That is the first stage of ventilation or inspiration. And exchange of oxygen into the alveoli and discharge of or expulsion of carbon dioxide from alveoli is the second stage of gas exchange which takes place. But then within the heart again, the respiration takes left heart, right heart, and how it goes, and that picture is there. Then oxygen is carried to the bloods, and from there it goes into the cells, and that is called cellular respiration, is the fifth level. Exchange is the fourth level. Now at alveolar level, the partial pressure of oxygen is 100 millimeter of mercury, whereas partial pressure at cellular level is literally 38.1966% of hemoglobin, and that is what I want to explain. Even at this particular juncture, you can see the same design which was seen alveoli with respect to inspiration and expiration of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Inspiration, active process; expiration is a passive process. How it goes, once that is understood, ratio inspiration expiration is understood. If you can maintain that, I can tell you, you can be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy person, and you should have no problem whatsoever to lead a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy life throughout your life. Bring down your respiration level as low as possible. Keep it within physiological limits as much as you want, and you could be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, happy, prosperous, blissful person 24/7. Having understood this, now let's go on to the move to another representation to show how powerful is respiration and what is the science of respiration. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation is something which is very, very important from my point of view, and I do know ever since my college days in Madras Medical Care, going back to 1969, we were talked so much about mouth-to-mouth breathing or skills of life, but the question came at that particular juncture, but the question comes to my juncture even today, does it work? And my answer is no. Why it doesn't work? Because when blood is not circulating, what is the big idea of giving oxygen to a person who just can't absorb? The first thing which has to be kept in mind is blood should be in circulation. Only then exchange can take place in the lungs. If there is no circulation in the lungs, no stagnation of blood, oxygen cannot be taken. The revival is not easy. This particular simple process could have been done decades and decades ago, but somehow we have just gone on to do without realizing actually if it survived something else, not because of this particular thing. Anyway, now that is one point which I'm making. Second thing, for me, the easiest thing would be to lift the legs higher. Bring all the blood from legs back to the heart. Increase the inferior venous cava pressure. And that is reason why right atrium you have SA node placed on the place where superior vena cava and inferior vena cava come and open. The stimulus for starting as a note, which is the third level of the cardiorespiratory system, is in the ventricles in the right side where SA node is there. It is not without any reason. It is only reason because stimulus for fifth level of system, which is 10 stages of cardiovascular fracture, is in the right, and stimulus for that is venous return pressure. Increase the venous return pressure, you will have something going very well, and that's it. If that for some reason not enough to produce to start, then you can try the auscultation of the chest by pressing it as many times as possible and then seeing things breaking. If that also fails, you can always try defibrillator to start electrically otherwise. I've been of this opinion very clearly here that you have a local influences like pressure, temperature, electrical, mechanical, at the same time, question of electrical. But unfortunately, a person who's unconscious, he or she cannot do that. So, other reasons have to be done, and that is what it is important to make sure we do not make the mistake again and again and again. Having said that, now let's move on to the next stage. Respiratory system is also called non-respiratory functions. Let me now explain to those things which are absolutely essential for everybody to understand. First is body defense mechanism. You cannot stop it. Filtration of foreign matter as it enters the nose. Here in follicles can go up to 10 micrograms, and sneezing expulsion can throw it out. Bronchial 2 to 10 micrograms, coughing can help it out. Bronchioles less than 2 micrograms, diffusion can take place. And alveoli, again, because the other things we can still control it. Defense against bacteria, tonsils and adenoids in the mouth, and surfactants in the lungs, which play a very important role to make sure you have no problem whatsoever with respect to partial pressure of oxygen and doing with it. Metabolic functions of respiratory functions is also well known, has to be understood, and they to be done. And one other thing which always comes to my mind is blood pressure, SARC, COVID, metastasis, angiotensin converting enzyme, AGE inhibitors, they all associated with lungs only. Kidneys produce renin, and the heart produces angiotensin converting enzyme, and then taken to adrenals to produce what you call sarcotin in the first layer of that to control the absorption of oxygen and reabsorption of sodium and expulsion of carbon dioxide to keep the metabolic rate completely. So that is one important function which I want everybody to remember. This is required. The regulation of body temperature is something to be done. Regulation of blood volume also to be understood. Fibrinolytic functions also required. Regulation of body water and fluid is important. Speech and regulation is important. Body pH range of acid-base balance is required. Olfaction is required. Olfaction, explicit taste sensation, I've already spoken about it. And then sexual behavior also associated with respiration. So the role of respiration is not only inspiration and expiration alone, but there are other things also which I thought the best thing is we talk about functions of lungs in different things to make sure that come what may. Lungs play a very important role in science of respiration and science of making us survive come what may. Now, there are movements which I want everybody to understand is respiratory movements have two, inspiration and expiration. How, like a bucket, it works when you take deep inspiration, how the whole sternum is raised, lips are changed, and whole structure changes. As a result, you can see the whole chest is opening up, more negative pressure is created. As a result, more inspiration can come inside, more oxygen can be developed, and more further the things can be done. And all this is explained very well in this particular concept. And once that is understood, why diaphragm is shaped like a parachute, what it does to lift it, what happens in the whole thing, what negative pressure is created, what makes the air push in immediately and then get absorbed, reabsorbed, and then circulated through the body to make sure, come what may, this is what science of respiration is all about. Now, coming to the end of it, let me make things little more clear. Prime objective of inspiration is to take absorption of oxygen from the atmosphere, take it to alveoli, get it absorbed, and that ratio is Divyank. Then take it to circulation to the blood. After using oxygenation, and you come to the venous blood at that particular stage of oxygen as well as venous would be more or less around 38.196%. And then the whole blood comes to the heart as a deoxygenated blood, and again oxygen recharges and the whole thing circulation goes on, and that inspiration, expiration, everything is done in such a way that at the end of it we get more than enough oxygen to make sure that all the cells function optimally and we have no problem whatsoever. Having explained that A to Z, a complete respiration, particularly the lungs, and the inspiration, expiration, and its function in the brainstem, and of course other nuclei. I think by and large, I think now we understand why respiration plays very, very important role in every aspect of human life. Let's move on to the next. This is as usual the picture. Since I've already covered nearly 22 minutes, I will not go much into details of this. Let's stick to that, understand it, remember it, reproduce it, with a clear understanding what nature is. Our teaching should not be mechanical rot at all. We should give more than enough knowledge to think rationally, logically, and understand many things how exactly it happens. Once we have a perfect individual idea about A to Z completely with the perfection from every angle, that is where conclusive mathematical design plays very important role in science. Converting every knowledge into science, that to conclusively mathematically conclusive design is absolutely essential for everyone. And that is what I'm again and again bringing Divyank, Divyank sequence, Divyank ratio, Divyank infinity, other aspect to show. If you remember Divyank, we remember everything perfect automatically, and we have more than enough material to remember things for rest of life, having read even once. We don't have to mug and remember. And this is the rewriting of impeccable wisdom for the entire universe, from school, college to the university, for the entire world, to make it simple, perfect, and otherwise. I am not coming in the way of diseased model. I am only talking of the perfect human anatomy, perfect human physiology, perfect human biochemistry, perfect human psychology, so that unless until we are 100% perfect in everything, only then we can make use of the external world completely, see it, and move on to the higher levels of consciousness. From that angle, let's put me an end to it. It has been wonderful sharing my experiences and this particular mathematical design for the first time in the history of mathematics for the wonderful world per se. So thank you very much.